Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. It's Natalie. I am playing with the Floral frame number 8 and a chunky happy birthday die from Paper Rose, of course. And this card is going to be relatively simple. I think it's relatively simple. I am inking this up with the VersaFine. Now, the first time I stamped this, it was just a little bit too wet. I don't know, I pressed too hard, I think. So I have turned it over. Luckily enough, there was nothing on the back. It didn't really come through. So it was perfect to stamp and use the back of this piece of cardstock. This is just a little piece of scrap cardstock. It just ended up being perfect for the sizing that I wanted. I am using the Prismacolor Black Grape 996 and of course the Mulberry 995. Adding just a little bit of color, a little bit of darkness right in the center of those flowers and right where they meet the base of the flower, base of the bloom. And using a lighter color, and I'm not stressing about this too much. We're just trying to get a little bit of color in it because it's just little. It doesn't need to be a fine detail at all, so it's pretty simple coloring. I have done the odd little dark stroke at the top of the flower with the black grape just for a little bit of definition, a little bit of fun, something a little bit different, so you know. Working my way through the flower tips. Now, if you saw my last video at the beginning of the month, I have cut my finger in this video. It is all healed up, so that's good, but unfortunately you do have to excuse a band-aid. It's quite a big band-aid, honestly, because if you're going to do things, you shouldn't do them well sometimes, but I do. This green is the wrong green. I'm going to actually use an olive green in this. So it's 911. It was just a little bit, the other color was a little bit too bright. So we're going to mute that right down because there's only a tiny bit. There's otherwise they stick out a little bit too much. This is Blue Violet Lake 1078. And later on I will come in with the white 938. I am trying to just add a little bit of color in the background, trying to be nice and light. So I have moved my hands up the pencil just a little bit. I am also using the eraser to soften those edges out. It doesn't take it all away, but it just takes a little bit, just softens it, as I said. I will come back in later on with a bit more and using that white. Dark brown 946 and chocolate 1082 for the frame. Mostly I've just used the dark right into the corners to give them a little bit of definition, a little bit of extra fun, and just gone behind the flower a little bit to make sure you give it dimension. So it knows it's not a flat object, it's sticking out a little bit. Just finishing that off and just working over it, flicking it across my desk, working over it until I was happy. So we've got the 938 white. I will come back in, and this is blending it a little bit more, softening it a little bit more. It just helps those colors. Well, there's only one color, but it just softens it. I am going back in with the Blue Lake again, just for a little bit of extra around the flower. Just going around the edges behind the flower. What can I tell you what's happening in my life? Nothing much is happening in life, which was rather nice and handy because, things... Isn't it always that things come multiple times? It's like if one thing happens, everything happens. So now we're in a period of it's nice and quiet and nothing is happening. So that's really good. My husband's car is still not back. That is due back in a few more days. just under a week away. So fingers crossed for that one. I have this card, this base, which is basically the whole, I have a goobie on it. This panel is the entire size of the card front, and I'm just marking a little rectangle. I've estimated using the stamped image on how big I needed it to be, and with fingers crossed that works out. And it's with using this ruler, I've sort of tried to measure to get it basically in the front, in the middle, a little bit high, but central into the card front, and just cutting that out with a ruler and a knife. Just rubbing out all my pencil lines, and I do have to fix up a little bit down the bottom because he just went a little bit screwy. But this works out to fit it perfectly. And as I said, I just used the grid on the ruler just to make sure it was central. This is how it's going to look. How good is that? It fits in well. When you cut things with a knife, you get a edge that is a little bit. When you cut it with the die, the edge is going back towards the back of the die. But when you cut it with a ruler, you have this edge that sort of sticks up to the front. So I've just sort of smoothed it over with my finger a little bit. Applying a whole heap of foam tape will cut that out, and you won't need to sit there and watch that. So I've just got a little bit more that I need to do. So it's very well supported. Let's just say that. You don't really need this much foam, but it is going to be nice and supported. Make sure that's square on the card and pull off all my tape. I am going to use a bit of glue with this tape when I put it onto the card front. So applying it as well as over the foam, as well as over the cardstock onto the foam as well. This will give me a little tiny bit of wriggle room, and as you can see here, a little bit of an opportunity to pull it up again. We only have a couple more things to do now. So I've die cut the chunky happy birthday. This is the shadow. Now what I'm going to do is color where I want the happy birthday. I'm going to die cut it first, and then we'll come back and we'll color it. And I'm trying to do a bit of an ombre. So the bottom of that is going to have a little bit of the VO9, and then it's going to blend up into VO6, and the top of it's just going to be VO6. Or the happy is just going to be VO6. And I thought that would blend it in nicely and give a little bit extra, even though it's a deeper, like the birthday is a bit of a deeper violet. The VO6 worked in really well with the flowers. The other thing I'm going to do, we'll start talking about it now. I've got the vellum cut out with the shadow die. Now, vellum, obviously, if you don't know, whenever you put vellum down, you have to be very, very careful on where you place your adhesive, because you're just going to see it. I am going to lose a bit of footage here of me applying it, but there it is. So I've got this expressed double stick tape, all sheets these are, and I have layered a piece of vellum onto that, and then we've die cut that out of the back. So the full stick, you're just not going to see it. You're only going to really see it when you have a blob of glue there or blob of glue there. When it's the full base of the vellum, you just don't see it. I'm applying glue to the bottom half of my happy because it's going to go over my, it has a word, with the hole. Doesn't this always happen to me? I lose words. The aperture? It falls over the aperture, so I don't need it. With having the extra vellum, that makes it a little bit more sturdy as well. This is just some silver, some clear gloss, and the last thing we've got is a little bit of the clear crystal drops. Talking would be handy. Clear crystal drops. applied with a little bit of the Paper Rose liquid glue. I've just moved it into a smaller container for a finer tip. That's all. So that's my card for today. I hope you're well. If you like the card for today, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That really helps out our little channel to grow. Again, I hope you're well. Take care and have a great day. Bye.